Good morning from sunny Stoke, and as you might be able to see and hear, I am today in one of Blackpool's finest creations, the TVR. When Britain was brilliant at making ridiculous sports cars that looked very, very lovely and had silly engines. This one is a V8S, and you might wonder, why am I squeezing myself into this car that's a tiny bit too small for me? Well, today or this weekend is a fantastic run that I've done. This is my second year I've done it now, called the Peaks to the Beach, and it's organised by the TVR Car Club and sponsored by Motorclown and Sport Motive. And the idea is it's just a load of absolutely wonderful TVRs and their owners assemble and drive very sensibly and legally, I might add, to Rill we're going to today. So we're going to assemble at a place called the Piggery, and as the name suggests, probably treat ourselves to something nice to eat, and then we'll have a gentle saunter across the British countryside to end up in Rill, where we'll all park up in formation. And you might be wondering, whose car is this? Now, I do have a TVR. I have a Cerebral Red Rose, which in a very TVR fashion is not behaving. It's not doing what I want it to do. It's not working. So Tim Lyons, who's the boss of Motorclown, who are the TVR people, if you want any TVR bits, that's where you get them from, has very kindly lent me his car, and it's beautiful. Now, I've had an S series myself before, an S1, but I've never driven a V8S, and I can tell you now, that's a massive gap in my car lexicon that I'm really glad that I filled today. They're an interesting car, these. I mean, they're just such British sports car. I mean, the first thing you can hear is that wonderful V8, what a noise. But the other thing is just the ergonomics of this car, particularly for a taller driver, are hilarious. So you've got the gear shift is almost back by your hip. It sits really far back. But the driving position is actually quite nice, and obviously the sound and the chassis and the sensation you get when you're driving is absolutely wonderful. And it's almost makes me a bit sad to drive this TVR, because I'm very glad that there's loads of them still around and being looked after by wonderful people like Ian at Sport Motive. But it does make you a little bit sad, doesn't it? Do you remember in the 80s and 90s, we were knocking out cars like this as a country, and they were world class in terms of how good they looked, how fast they went, how desirable they were to own, at a very affordable price for most enthusiasts. Nobody really touched TVR, no one could do it better. Certainly there were cars with more prestige, certainly there were cars you could argue, and I can say this as an owner, they were better put together. But in terms of soul and passion, and just the whole package at a really sensible price point, you had a car that could outpose a Ferrari and outperform a Ferrari for probably half the price, or less in some cases. And this thing just drives fantastically. It just goes to show what a brilliant package they are. So today is all about meeting other people, having some fun, and driving with that wonderful soundtrack. So I hope you'll join me, and I hope you enjoy it.
The first stop then is the Old Piggery Cafe, and it's a wonderful chance to relax for a moment, stretch my legs, meet some fellow TVR owners, and catch up with Tim and find out what it's all about.
Thank you for driving the V8S today. Obviously, I've owned it now for 2.5 years. It's a great place to be, lots of fun. Yeah, a bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing. It is very quick off the line and in terms of acceleration. And yeah, we've done all of the mechanical parts to it to make sure it drives. It's not a garage queen, so it's got chips and scratches and all the rest of it, but it drives beautifully. This is year 5 of Peaks to the Beach, so it combines a 2-day driving experience. Day 1 in the Derbyshire Dales, day 2 through the Welsh Mountains and up to Rill. Fantastic, typically about 100 TVRs each day, driving through the country lanes, having a bit of fun. You know, a like-minded owners of TVRs, it's all about the experience and sharing that and seeing what everyone else has got with their cars. Everyone likes a shiny car that's had a bit of an upgrade and a bit of tuning done to it. And there's a bit of one-upmanship, obviously. You know, you've got the older cars like the S series up to the Zagarises, which are obviously bonkers, and the latest models. It's just a great social experience for everyone from all over the UK and even overseas people come over for it. TVRs obviously back in the day were British bonkers engineering. You know, I know obviously the V8S, I've got one. You know, when the V8S was launched, it was faster than a Ferrari Testarossa for a fraction of the price. And that's what TVR has always been. It's been a performance vehicle on a cost-effective basis, but they are so much fun, raw experience. There's none of the electronic driver aids that you might get in some of the other vehicles. It's all about that driving experience with a great big engine up front.
Let's try not to do a Mustang Owner, as it's known. Now, since I've stopped at the piggery there, which is fantastic by the way, I do recommend it, you should definitely give it a go. I've had a chance to talk to some lovely people and see some wonderful cars there, and a few things have struck me about TVR ownership as I drive away in the V8S. First of which is that I just can't think of another car that has this much soul and this much character for this much money. The whole idea of the TVR proposition was to create something that was highly desirable, particularly aesthetically and dynamically, that the average enthusiast can afford, and they did that. And what's nice is that passion is clearly still living on with the second, third, fourth and fifth owners that have them today. Really getting rather wet now, but it is actually going over my head, as so many things do. This, to me, where we are now, is what is the appeal of these cars. So it's now been dry, very dry. It's now raining quite significantly, even though the roof's off and I'm not getting wet. So the road has gone very, very greasy. This car, of course, has no ABS, no power steering, no traction control. And that was always the appeal of the TVR. The TVR was the car that you bought that did nothing for you other than entertain. And the traction control and the ABS, that was you. You brought that to the party. It's not a car that's here to cosset you. It's not a car that's here to do all the work for you. But that is the charm of the car. If you want that, go and buy a Porsche. The Porsche will do everything for you. Cost you a lot more money. Dare I say? I can say this as an owner, doesn't look as good. They're clever little cars. And what was interesting is driving over here on the A500, I saw two people on their mobile phones in their modern cars because they're full of driver aids. They've got their active cruise control. They've got their lane keep assist. They've got all these things that will keep them out of bother, where this car has none of that. Absolutely none of that. So the only thing that's going to keep me out of bother today is the judicious use of my right foot and a careful application of it. And I think for that reason, these cars in some way are safer, because you are having to concentrate far, far more. The chances of me sending a text message whilst driving a TVR are nil, because you wouldn't dare take either hand off the wheel for more than a second unless it was for a gear change. Brilliant car. And in a non-more TVR way, I've already got a little bit of water coming through the door. Just passing some fellow TVRers stopping to put their roofs on. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to keep driving. So what am I doing now? I'm doing 50 miles an hour in a 50, and the rain is going over my head. So I said, as long as that continues, and the skies over that way are getting clearer and clearer. So let's be brave. Commit. The other great thing about TVRs is, as second-hand cars, they represent even more of a bargain than they did when they were new. A nice V8S like this, I don't know, it's probably early teens. You get a beautiful Chimera for 14, 15 grand, a nice Cerbera for 20 something. Tuscans and Sagarises are a little bit more money because obviously the Americans have woken up to those and realised that they're fantastic. They want to bring them all into the country. But they're still a performance bargain. If you look at, I've got a Cerbera Red Rose, that's 4.5. That's a 197 mile an hour car. I think I paid £23,000 for. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And the thing is now, what we're doing now, we're doing 55 now. It just sounds right. You know, if you put your foot down, you've got that wonderful V8 Burble. It's a car that will thrill and excite well within the legal speed limit. And I think as we enter into a Gatso world, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want a car that feels fun at 50 or 60 or makes all the right noises at 30? That's where these cars absolutely excel. The other thing as well, you met Tim earlier, he's the boss of MotorClan. So MotorClan has all of the old TVR factory parts. They bought all of the old racing green stock as well. So if you have a car like this and you're thinking, you know, how will I keep it going? How will I get the spares? pretty much everything is on the shelf, like an unbelievable amount of stuff. And then what they don't have and that they need, things like windscreens, they just get them made again. So the ownership proposition of a car like this really is very straightforward. And I'm struggling to think for 20 grand, if you've got that kicking about, what you'd have that's better. And as I say, if you don't mind buying an S-Series, so I just sold a short door S1 project at Manor Park Classics, which needed a bit of chassis tidying, but stopped, probably needed about 5-6 grand spending on it. I sold that car for a shade over £2,000. So there are projects out there for thousands that you can spend thousands on and have a great car. It's just fun. We need to start driving cars that look fabulous, make silly noises, are wonderfully involving cars that make you work a little bit. Like no power steering, at parking speeds, it's terrible. But obviously as soon as you get a tiny bit of speed up, the feel is wonderful. It really is. So you just get used to driving it. And for me, I'd take the trade-off any day of the week. A little bit harder to park, but much nicer to drive. You only spend about 0.001% of your time parking anyway, don't you? Particularly in a car like this, you're only going to drive it to the pub anyway. Superb. Right, onwards to Rill, my friends. Today is the summer solstice. This is the longest day of the year. So we've got the most amount of daylight that we'll ever have, and we've all chosen to use it driving TVRs in a slightly damp, slightly drizzly day to Rill. I couldn't think of anything better, to be honest. There is a stereo in here, but you don't really need it. It's the Buick Symphony, and it really is very, very nice. Now I'm going to try and see what it's like as a refined motor car. It's now starting to rain, and you see I've put the roof up. And the roof on all of these TVRs is really clever. It's just got like a cantilever tension strut on the back targa section, and in between you put the two roof sections. So it takes literally a few seconds. And then what you end up with is a very cosy, quite quiet, and actually noticeably more rigid car. So as British convertibles go, if you think of things like MGBs and how much of a faff their hoods are, actually this is very simple. And incredibly cosy once you're inside. You really start to feel how much heat this car generates actually. So we've stopped for tea and cakes, and I have to say, the TVRCC people and TVR owners in general, what a lovely bunch of people. Just swapping stories, finding out about their cars, what they've done to them. The passion that these guys and girls have got for their motors is just wonderful. But it just made me a little bit sad. It makes me sad that TVR is no longer with us, and it makes me sad that when they tried to bring it back, it failed. But also I just don't think that car had the magic that these cars have. Almost the simplicity, because it really was a case of a British sports car manufacturer taking those essential ingredients. Look back at cars like the Austin Healey, look at cars like the MGB, look at cars like the Triumph TR range. Open top, powerful sports cars with heaps of character that everybody could afford. This car is that car. It's also blissfully simple to drive. The gearbox does have a bit of a double D clutch. It's a tiny bit agricultural, but I like that. I like a car that makes you work. I like a car that makes you think. And I like a car that rewards you for careful, considered inputs. Because modern cars are so simple to drive, it doesn't matter if you're not perfectly on the gas in the right place, if your clutch control isn't perfect, or your clutch technique isn't perfect. A modern car will reward you. This car, if you do a lovely smooth double D clutch or a nice heel and toe down change, it rewards you. It says thank you. Just love it. Right, on to Rill.
Quite appropriate, isn't it, really, that a car that was originally built by the seaside should culminate at the seaside. And so what we like about Rill, they've got a very good car park, and with a lot of help from some brilliant marshals, the cars were soon parked in a fantastic pattern, including my V8S. And the result of all that hard driving and all that hard work and parking was another little car show, which I think the people from Rill quite appreciated, and we certainly did. The chance to catch up with people we'd missed before, and the chance to see some of the cars that I hadn't seen for a little while either. Every car was different, and that was the thing that really came home to me. If you go to a manufacturer like Range Rover or Porsche and pay a lot of money, they'll give you special wishes, individual, autobiography, whatever you want to call it. But what was amazing about TVR is back in the day, pretty much whatever you wanted, whichever colour, whichever trim, whichever finish, they would do it for you. And just look at them. What a fantastic selection of people and cars, and what an absolutely brilliant way to spend the day together enjoying them. And after a little charity fundraising, it was sadly time to go home, pack up our bags, fill up our tanks, and head for the journey back. I do hope you've enjoyed this, and I do hope you now consider owning a TVR. They're such fabulous cars, it's such a brilliant community, and I guarantee you're going to have fun. If you like this, please do like and subscribe, ring that bell, and there'll be more Calendar on Cars very soon.